Hello and welcome to our webinar on digital storytelling, bringing foundations work into focus. My name is Kyla Hunt and I'm the webinar program manager here at TechSoup Global, and I'm going to be facilitating this webinar today. With us today are Susan Telingator and Vivian Paulissen. And Susan, if you could go ahead and introduce yourself first and just give us a little bit of your background and what you'll be focusing on today, that would be great.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Sue Telingator, and I am here at TrustAfrica in West Africa, Dakar, Senegal. It's very exciting to be a part of this this presentation. And just very briefly, my background is I've been in communications for about 27 years. I've worked for for-profits, non-profits, governments, etc. And I'm just going to give a brief overview on the use of using video in communications work. So, thanks.
Awesome, thanks, Sue. And Vivian, if you could go ahead and introduce yourself as well.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Kyla. Good day. My name is Vivian Paulissen. I'm running a program called Youth and Media at the European Cultural Foundation, which is based in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. I have been working for some years already in the field of arts and culture and development for different cultural foundations that have networks in Africa, Asia, Latin America, and now Europe. Last year I joined the ECF to set up a new youth and media program with the aim to include the perspectives of young people in Europe in the cultural practice and the cultural debates in and on Europe. And I would like to share with you an example of what we do.
Great, thank you. And assisting us with chat today is Becky Wiegand, who is also from TechSoup Global, and so a lot of the questions that you'll be putting into the chat pane, Becky will be answering. We also may have Christy Graves on the line. I'm not sure if she's on yet, but she may be helping out with chat too. So if you see somebody answering your questions named Christy Graves, she is also from TechSoup Global. And so just a little bit about us at TechSoup. TechSoup is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And as of June 2010, TechSoup served more than 127,000 organizations, distributed more than 6.3 million technology donations, and enabled nonprofit recipients to save more than $1.8 billion in IT expenses in 33 countries around the world. And TechSoup is part of TechSoup Global, which is working towards the day when every nonprofit, library, and social benefit organization on the planet has the technology, knowledge, and resources they need to operate at their full potential. And we're really excited to be able to do this webinar in conjunction with the European Foundation Center. And what we'll be covering today, first I just want to give you a really brief definition of what digital storytelling is to set the stage. And then Sue from TrustAfrica will be giving her presentation. I know she'll be talking a lot about what digital storytelling is and how you would do it. And then that will be followed up by Vivian's section. And at the end, I will be taking questions from the audience. Again, I will be taking this from questions you have submitted in the questions pane. So be sure to submit those as you think of them. So really quickly, what is digital storytelling? I want to just read this definition. It's this really great definition that I found off of a blog called Writing Days. And it says that digital storytelling is a multimedia, multisensory opportunity for storytelling. It can integrate any combination of TV and movie clips, home or personal video, photographs, music, text, and narration. It has a definite point of view and purpose. And so that's a pretty broad incorporation. It's incorporating every type of multimedia you can think of. It can sometimes be more like poetry than narrative in that it is economical in its use of words and images. It seems to deal with a specific topic, which can be wide-ranging or very specific. And the process of creating digital storytelling involves thoughtful consideration of an overall topic, planning for the different multimedia elements, and the recording of a narrative to bind the story together. And I think the the fact that it is really about the story and not necessarily about the medium that you're telling the story in is really important. It is using digital media to just tell a story like all humans tell stories every day. So with that, I want to hand the reins over to Sue. So Sue, I'm going to give you control.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. And it might just take just a minute for Sue to, oh yep, now we're seeing it already. Just one reminder, Sue is in Senegal right now, so if we lose her due to their electricity, she will try her best to get back to us. So just so you guys know.
Thanks, Colin. Thanks for remembering to say that. Yeah, sometimes our electricity does go out, and we have a generator, but it takes a minute to kick in. So, but fortunately, hopefully, that won't happen today. We'll be able to sail through this. So I'm very excited to be here. Thanks for subscribing. I hope I'm sure both of us will be able to be helpful in getting people going in terms of the digital storytelling efforts. I just wanted to start by saying a couple of words about TrustAfrica, the organization I'm working for. I actually have only been at TrustAfrica for a little over a month. But I've been in Senegal for the last few years working with the U.S. government on development activities. So I'm very familiar with Senegal, certainly, and with Africa. TrustAfrica is a Pan-African organization, but we have our headquarters in Senegal. But we have staff around the continent. It was founded about 5 years ago, and we have a broad mix of donors and funders. We focus primarily in 3 areas, which are democracy and civil society, equitable development, and then African philanthropy, which actually is pretty interesting because it's kind of a new and growing area where Africans kind of take charge of their own philanthropy for themselves and for the people in their countries. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about digital storytelling. Excuse me. Why make a video? I think making a video, committing to a video is a big deal for a lot of organizations because of the time and the money involved. And I'm pretty sure that most people wouldn't make that decision lightly. Usually, I know for communications professionals, when you have many different media that you can choose from, choosing the visual storytelling medium is because you really have a visual story to tell. There's a lot of videos out there that are just talking heads, but being able to show something and connect with people is really the compelling reason, to me at least, to use video. And it's really great, especially for fundraising, because you can speak directly to your audience. For an organization like ours, which is based in a developing country and works primarily with developing countries, video is especially effective because we can connect with people who might be illiterate and may not have access to other forms of communications materials. And then ideally, you'll be comfortable using a video camera. I think these days it's pretty easy for pretty much everybody to pick up a camera and start shooting. Just a couple of statistics to ground my presentation. The Pew Foundation did some research on video and found that 69% of Internet users watch video online, and I'm sure it's even grown since 2010. So it's a very prevalent medium. Also, the age range of people watching video is increasing. And for foundations, I think that's especially important because the people later in life who have a little bit more disposable income are more likely to donate their money, which obviously would be of interest to we folk in foundations. What makes a good video? I think it's probably what makes a good communications piece, but for video especially, it's important to have an emotional connection. If you can't connect emotionally with your audience, you're not going to interest them in what you have to say. And one other, just a fundamental tip for video making is to be very targeted in your approach. I think if you have too many messages, you overwhelm the viewer just like you would in any form of communications. Okay, so now we're getting to the part of the presentation where I'm going to ask Kyla to step in and just to make sure that we have smooth internet connection. These are a couple of videos, and I'll just talk a minute when she sets them up, that demonstrate the potency of a video approach without even any need for sound. And
I'm getting
that means
set
that, you got it, okay,
yeah.
Thanks. So, okay, this is the first one. It's called the Girl Effect. It's an organization that's run by the Nike Foundation. And if you did have sound, it would just be playing this really compelling music that they have to show this video. But I think the interesting thing about the video is it pulls you in. It's very compelling. So I'll shut up and let you watch it for a little bit.
Yeah, I really like the animation of this video, Sue. I think this is great.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, and that maybe not be a reality for a lot of people to do animation. This is the Nike Foundation who produced this, so they obviously had some money they could spend. Mm-hmm. But even the story here is not really the animation. It's just the way that the story is told, and that's really what digital storytelling is all about. Is that they're telling this. They're giving a message visually and with words. It's very compelling, and really pulls you in as a viewer, and you kind of get the gist of what they're talking about very quickly.
Exactly.
So, okay. So I think we can stop.
Okay, cool.
We will be sending links out, right, Kyla?
Yep.
So people can watch the whole thing when they have time on their own.
Exactly.
Okay.
And let me start the second one.
Okay, so the second one is actually a video that was produced by MTV in conjunction with USAID, the U.S. Agency for International Development, and the music is by Radiohead, so there's a lot of appeal just listening to Radiohead play their music. And as you can see, it's just a visual presentation of the lives of two young boys. It's for their campaign against human trafficking. So I believe one is in Bangladesh and then one is in the U.S. And it's just by using a split screen motif, it's just demonstrating, the powerful effect of what it's like to be a child in each of these countries, and what these kids are up against or not up against, as the case may be. And again, as I said, sound isn't necessary. It's the visual that's the compelling part of the video. And by having a split screen, which is a very simple technique, and showing the two videos side by side, and you'll see the shots are kind of similar. The way that they shot the video is kind of similar, which gives the movement of the video, very, very smooth movement of the video. But again, it's a very compelling way to tell a story and get a message across. So, okay, we can we can stop that one too.
Awesome. And I will give you back control.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay. So, let's see.
And it came up.
It takes a minute.
It came up.
Yeah, it takes a minute for my computer to... There we go. So, as I mentioned, filming is storytelling. And so you want to ask yourself some fundamental questions when you're trying to plan for your video. I think once you get the gist of where you're going with the video, it's easier to produce it. But if you don't have a roadmap, that could be costly and cause a whole bunch of problems. So these are the typical questions that I ask myself when I'm starting a video project regarding target audience, messaging, imaging, and how I'm going to distribute the video. And like every good story, a good video is character-driven. If you can find people who can speak well and speak your message well, half your work is done for you. So that's really critical in video production. Also, statistics are good to have just to give what you're saying some legitimacy. And be sure to start your video with something compelling so that you can pull the viewer in right away so that you won't lose them. Especially in today's age of media, there's so many things to distract people. If you don't capture somebody in those critical first few seconds, you won't have them. They won't stay with you. And then ideally they're terrific for foundations to show, how we're making an impact in the world, and they're also great for us to be able to ask for funding. These are some of the benefits of video. You can actually give voice and image to the people that you're supporting with your foundation work, so it makes the work that we do more tangible, especially because foundations are usually funding other organizations, so they're kind of one removed. So this kind of brings the video back. It brings the work that you do back to the people that are trying to support you. And also for grantees, it's a really great opportunity for them to be able to give voice to what they're doing, the activities they're involved with, and kind of builds the relationship between the organization and the people that they're funding. Unfortunately, there are some drawbacks to video. There can be limitations to distribution, especially if you're working in a developing country or if there are other issues to consider in terms of spreading around your video. Money and time is the traditional problems with video production, so you just want to make sure that you've targeted exactly what you want to do and that you have a good justification for using video to tell your story. And then again, as I mentioned before, it's a time commitment to watch your video, so that's why it's really important to connect with the viewer immediately, emotionally, and pull them in and get them watching your story. And then finally, I just want to talk a couple of minutes about the Enhancing Women's Dignity project video, which is done by TrustAfrica. Actually, before I came, it was done by Sandra Zerbo, who's TrustAfrica's program person for our project Enhancing Women's Dignity, which is basically a project that's supported by the Dutch government, and it's, as you can see, it's dedicated to decreasing violence against women and increase women's political participation. We spent 6 months on this video. It's a 10-minute video. It's a compelling video. It's in 5 countries, I believe. And basically, in order to set the video up, they created a work plan and then worked with a lot of our grantees and interviewed them to find the people who were going to speak the best on video and who had a story to tell. We were dealing with a sensitive topic, so we had to get consent forms and promise anonymity for our subjects. That will depend on what the subject matter is, of course, of the video that you're trying to create. The cost was about 21,000 euros. Which I think is pretty reasonable. We did have a professional director in the video, so that added to our cost. Obviously, if you do it yourself, it would be a lot cheaper. And then we've distributed it widely, and it's gotten a lot of pickup. I thought maybe Kyla could show just a minute of the video. It's on our website. It's 10 minutes, so I didn't want to take the time now. But maybe, Kyla, if you wouldn't mind, you could just show a minute.
Sure.
Okay.
Let me bring it up. 1 second. All right. Here we go.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's subtitled, so you'll be able to follow pretty easily. I think this first one might be in the Democratic Republic of Congo, so the people aren't even speaking English, so. And as I mentioned, obviously her face is shielded to protect her identity. But I think it's very compelling nonetheless, even though you can't see her face. Okay. So, okay. I think that's good.
Okay.
Gives you a sense of it. You can go to the Trust Africa website at www.trustafrica.org, and it's right on our homepage, so you can see the full video there.
I'm giving you back control, Sue.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Okay, so.
And we can see your screen now.
Okay. It's taking a minute for it to adjust to being back. I think that might be I think that's the last. I think that might be close to the last slide. For some reason, it's not advancing. But at any rate, so that's all I have for the moment.
Sue, if you need to, adjust or make the slides progress, if you click on the slide once, that might activate it. Sometimes it becomes deactivated, and then try to progress it. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. Yep.
So yeah, I was right though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just my email address, which Kyla will bring up again, and then a little bit about me that I mentioned, and that's it.
Okay. Awesome. Let's see. So I'm going to take control back. Thank you, Sue. That was a great overview, and those were really, really compelling videos. I do want to take this time to look to see if there are any questions that have come up while you were presenting, and let me take a look.
Okay.
It looks like there was one question that came up that it looks like it's pretty general to digital storytelling, but maybe you can speak to it. And this question asks, does digital storytelling have to be a combination of media, or can it be only one of them?
I mean, sure, it can be whatever you want it to be. I think that, Kyla, you had a really great definition in the beginning. And I know that when Vivian gives her presentation, she's going to show how much creativity can be involved in digital storytelling. I think telling the story is really the key, more than the medium that you choose. And like I said, being able to connect emotionally and having a message that you want to convey. Those are all kind of key points to it.
Okay, awesome. And it looks like one other question came in. It says you stress the need to capture compelling stories, so you skip the ordinary, but to what extent would the image and the message be truthful?
To what extent will the image and the message be truthful? I guess I'm a little. I think that anytime you do your work, you want to be truthful in what you're saying. Maybe the question kind of centers around what if it's not compelling, and what if the only way to make it compelling is to somehow distort the truth or whatever. But I think that you can find compelling images in anything that you do. I don't think that you need to necessarily be untruthful. Unless that is something that you've already demonstrated or talked about beforehand. Obviously, if you're fictionalizing something, there's a lot of leeway there. But I think it's possible to tell a compelling story and also to have it be a truthful one.
Right. A lot of times the truth is more compelling than something that would be made up.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and it looks like that's the only questions that have come in so far related to content. So I'm going to go ahead and get the control over to Vivian. But again, as you think of questions, put them into the questions pane, and we will be asking questions to both presenters near the end of this webinar. So again, thank you, Sue, for that great introduction. And Vivian, I'm going to go ahead and give you control.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, can you hear me?
I can hear you. We still can't see your slides. Okay. I think it's just taking a minute.
Okay.
You can try if it takes much longer on the control panel under that big play button. If you just select the drop-down menu and say show your screen clean, that might jump-start it again. There we go. I can see it now.
Okay.
Okay. You're good to go. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Kyla, and also Sue, thanks a lot for sharing these very powerful examples of how a video can really be a compelling story, and the tips also you shared for us foundations on what to do when making a good video. Actually, my case is a bit different, since I would not like to go into the way our foundation uses or makes video ourselves. Rather, I would like to go into how we are challenged to maybe connect to what is out there already. So actually, the presentation and the work we do is related to what we say a next generation of digital storytellers. And that is related to the work within the Youth and Media program I'm running. And before I will go into the approach of the Youth and Media program towards storytelling in this digital era, I would briefly like to explain a bit about the mission of the European Cultural Foundation in general, if I could. Our mission is to inspire, engage, and empower through arts and culture. Now, we do this through our programs, of which the Youth and Media is part, but also we have a neighborhood program focusing mainly on capacity building in EU neighboring countries. Next to that, we have a grant scheme for international cultural collaboration projects, and we also instigate advocacy for culture on political agendas on the national and the European level. And we set up online platforms in which we would like to connect knowledge across sectors and people, of course. So the Youth and Media program, again, a next generation of digital storytellers. How did we come about to create this program? Well, the main goal of the program is actually to strive for a more inclusive European public opinion in which the perspectives of young people, as expressed in creative and opinion-making media, are taken into account. I'm not sure whether you can still hear me, because my control panel says something.
We can hear you, Vivian.
There are some difficult... Oh, great, great.
Yeah.
Then I'll just continue.
Sometimes if the broadband is having any issues, it will pop up with something that says that you're experiencing audio difficulties. The only thing I've noticed is that there have been maybe one or two pauses in the audio, but we can still understand everything you're saying. And that I think is inevitable in webinars.
Okay, well, sorry for the interruption then. Yes, so the Youth and Media program, actually the challenge, what is the challenge for us as a European Cultural Foundation to make or to maybe contribute to a more inclusive public opinion in which the media and the messages of young people are included in the mainstream media, in the mainstream public debate? Our starting point actually was to look at the way many young people nowadays root around us. They root around the established cultural, political and media domains and platforms with their messages and the media they make. As you know, in this digital era in which media making tools and platforms have become more and more accessible for many more people, it is really easy to make your own video or to make any other digital story and to share it on a platform, an online platform such as YouTube or Vimeo or community journalism spaces. But really there is a great potential of talent within this do-it-yourself generation of creative and opinion-making media makers, but for us foundations and cultural festivals, it is really hard to find the talent in the mer à boire. Um, um, Now, considering the fact that their voices and the media that they make, we think need to be discovered by us because they are powerful messages that need to be understood, we think this can contribute to understanding our contemporary societies. The way young people are now making and sharing their media says something about our society. So if we include their media in the mainstream public opinion, then we hope to be a bit nearer to a more inclusive public opinion on what Europe is. So what we did actually, the challenge for us as a foundation was how to design such a youth and media program in a way that we could connect to the existing activity of do-it-yourself young media makers and their communities to online platforms where they share and discuss their works. And also how to connect their platforms then to the mainstream cultural platforms such as documentary festivals. In any case, cultural platforms that tend to scout still only talent amongst maybe professional film schools, whereas in fact the do-it-yourself generation is not formally educated in film school often. Another example is maybe the foundations such as ours that develop often themselves a video project to empower the voice of young people, which is a great intention, but often it is too top-down. So again, we wanted to connect to what is out there already, and what we did was we made a hub profile. We scouted for existing organizations that work in an innovative way with young people and media, that have local and virtual communities and that work across sectors. So we came up with organizations in 5 countries, in Poland, Turkey, Spain, the Netherlands and the UK, that also are very interested in connecting their knowledge and networks in a wider European space. And as a network, they set themselves the goal to capture the views of young European media makers. So this network became known since last year under the name of DocNext Network. The network organizes concretely media workshops in the countries of the respective members, and it connects the media that is made during these workshops to existing platforms. In that way, the network really aims to infiltrate in the mainstream media and in the mainstream culture with the important digital stories that young people make. The network stands for new ways of storytelling in the digital era, for new ways of making documentary. It stands for connecting perspectives of a new generation of digital storytellers and documentarians to broad and intergenerational audiences. It supports media skills for different young target groups, young people between 15 and 30, with and without media skills. And it provides access to these different target groups to high quality cultural platforms, let's say such as the documentary festival in Amsterdam, the ITVA. What does the network do more? The network also collects its media that is generated through these workshops in a DocNext media collection. It now consists of some 230 works, and the collection is accessible for festivals and organizations. So everything is put under a Creative Commons license, which means that all videos and all media is considered part of the public domain. I will go to the media collection now and take some time, but here we are. We made a blog. Underneath you see our partners in the DocNext network, the feature film of the British Film Institute, Metropolis TV, International Documentary Festival, an innovative organization working with audiovisual culture in Spain, and a documentary-oriented organization in Poland working with different young target groups. I will go to the collection and I hope to show you also a compelling video of a young person that made a video last summer during the, let's say, Greek uprisings. This is our Vimeo channel. As you can see, we really are keen to connect to existing platforms. And one of the reasons we want to do that is because we think it's more important to have the whole collection of the DocNext network embedded in a broader, in a wider community that could connect to all kinds of different communities across the globe, virtually, of course. Then to create ourselves again another container or a database or a website that is really hard to pitch to different organizations. So that is why we chose to embed everything in the Vimeo channel. Vimeo, as you might know, is the YouTube for the more creative video. This is the video I would like to show you. I will not start it up from this panel. I downloaded already. So it takes about 1.5 minutes, and I hope I'm not spending too much of your time, but I would suggest to just get it started. There's no sound, as you can imagine, but I don't think it is that a problem, since, well, you'll see. Let's try to start it and to make it full screen. Actually, for your information, there is no sound even in this part of the video because it's the second part of the video. We didn't have time to maybe download the whole thing. So just maybe as a consolation, there is no sound with this. So there you go. That was this, well, short documentary, short video, or whatever you would like to call it. Anyhow, it's an example of a digital story that could tell us something about what is going on in our society, bottom up. I think I have one more slide actually to go. So this is it. Here's a link to our docnextnetwork.org website that contains the media collection and also the information on our hubs and, of course, more importantly, on their networks of young media makers, a next generation of digital storytellers. So that's it for me. Thank you. And if you have questions, I'm be happy to answer them if I can.
Great, thank you so much. That was really great, and I really like showing a video that part of it doesn't have any sound anyway, because I think it really makes the case that a video doesn't have to include every aspect of the multimedia experience to be powerful, that the images themselves can be powerful enough. So that I think that was a really great example. So let me check to see if there are any questions that have come in. I'm not seeing any content-related questions any more than we had last time. So again, if you have any questions, please type them into the questions pane, and we'll be able to ask them to the presenters at that point. But let me... And if you have any questions, if you think of any questions after this point, after this webinar, feel free to email both Sue and Vivian, and I will be showing a slide in a moment that will have both of their contact information on it. So sometimes it's not as easy to think of a question during the presentation and you think of one afterwards. So again, this is Sue and Vivian's email addresses if you have any questions afterwards. But again, we're going to be hanging out for just a couple of minutes to see if any more questions come in while I'm waiting for that. And I will go back to the screen in a moment. I do want to mention that we will be having 2 more autumn webinars in conjunction with the European Foundation Center. And the website for that is at the top of the screen. I know it's a pretty long URL, so I will be sending out this link along with the other follow-up materials within a week of this presentation. Our second webinar will be Foundations in Practice and Data Visualization on November 16th. And our speaker will be Cole Nussbaumer, consultant for the website Storytelling with Data. And then on December 7th, we will be having a webinar entitled Using Technology to Educate, Empower, and Engage. And our speakers for that will be Saida Sakali and Anya Adler. So we hope that you will join us for that as well. Let me check to see if any questions have come in. And Melissa asks, can we send a list of resources on digital storytelling? I will be more than happy to include, I've been gathering some links from both of our presenters today, and I will be sending that out in the follow-up email. And you're wondering if, and Melissa also asked if we have any resources for people just starting out in digital storytelling, and I will take a look to see what I can find. Vivian and Sue, if you can think of any resources off the top of your heads that may be good for people just starting out.
Yeah. Sorry, Sue,
go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, no, I just was going to say I know for sure that on YouTube they have a ton of resources about creating video from the technical perspective if people need that kind of help.
Exactly, and I just want to add on Vimeo as well. There's the Vimeo video school. There are all kinds of different packages available for people, and this is really great way to get into it.
Okay, great. I will make a note of that right now to add that to the follow-up resources to look for those YouTube and Vimeo resources. That sounds great. And we have another question that came in saying, does anyone have experience with using digital stories for evaluating programs? So if anybody in our audience has experiences with that, feel free to type that into the questions pane and I'll read that out loud. Vivian and Sue, have you heard of any such use?
Yeah, well, what we do ourselves actually is, for instance, if we since we work with young people that make media, it's quite normal actually to have them also record their expectations and even evaluations of, for instance, of workshops or international gatherings or academies. So I think that really works well. You don't get a written report, you just get a short video or maybe including some interviews with, in our case, young people that just very honestly talk about their experience. And the good thing about this is that you can share it also easily with either your board members or externally, since it is compelling, often more than a written report with facts and figures, etc. So yes, I personally have very, very positive experiences in that.
Okay, great. Thank you. And what about you, Sue? Have you heard of anything like that?
The kinds of evaluations that I've mostly been involved with have been more on the government side, and so there's, usually there's a lot of paperwork involved with government. But I can see overall that would be. I think that's a great question, because I think it captures a qualitative side to evaluation that sometimes is very difficult to capture on the written page. So I think that's a brilliant idea. If people have the resources and the time to do that, I think it's a brilliant idea.
Right. I think along with, because my background has been primarily in the library field in the United States, and I know that it's a big trend right now to couple quantitative data with qualitative stories about how the library has affected community members. And I think that in a visual way that it can illustrate the point that the quantitative numbers that have to go into government reports express so statistically. So I think that's a really good idea. And I'm still waiting to see if any other questions come in. If you have any questions, again, please type them into the questions pane. I do want to remind everybody that Microsoft is pleased to have provided the grant to the European Foundation Center that has allowed TechSoup Global to organize these webinars for EFC members. So I do want to thank Microsoft for that opportunity. And while I'm waiting for other questions to come in, I do want to do a little plug for TechSoup's TS Digs. If you haven't heard of it, TS Digs is TechSoup's annual digital storytelling campaign, and it usually happens in February. And as you can see at the bottom, this year it's happening February 2012. And it combines instruction and friendly competition into a hands-on media making project. Organizations submit digital stories that they keep as a vital resource for promoting their work and connecting to their constituents. A panel of judges select the very best entries to win terrific prizes consisting of tools and resources to take their digital storytelling to the next level. So if you're really looking into experimenting a little bit more with digital storytelling, this might be a really good media to do that in. Let me see if there are any more questions that have come in. And I believe it is open globally. It's a matter of some countries may not be eligible for all prizes, but the competition itself is open globally. And Christy, if you could type verification of that into the chat pane. Christy Graves is on with us from the team that hosts TS Digs. But yes, I believe it is open globally. And while I'm waiting for that verification, I'm going to go ahead and show you the TS Digs website. So we do have about 10 minutes left. Because we do have, so this is the 2012 TechSoup Digital Storytelling Campaign. And while I'm waiting for more questions to come in, I'm going to go ahead and press play on this so you guys can watch this silently. And this is going to be my first year participating in the digital TS Digs in any capacity, but I've heard nothing but good things about it, and it's really great in promoting the capacity for telling stories in a digital medium, what emotional impact that can have. And again, I want to reiterate that with digital storytelling, it really should be about the story, and it really should be about the visual aspect of it. And you can do digital storytelling in a very simple way if you're not incredibly tech savvy. You can do it by just taking digital pictures and putting it into something like Flickr or Animoto. You can do slideshows even, or can be a version of a digital story. And so I don't want anybody to think that if they are not completely tech savvy that they can't start experimenting with digital storytelling. I think it's something that can be opened up for everybody to use. And let's see. And Christy said the winner last year was Room to Read, who had never made a digital video before participating in the webinars. So that is something to keep in mind. Let's see if any other questions have come in. And yes, she confirms that TSDigs is open globally. And Vivian, this is a question that came in for you. Does ECF support creation of any online platform or only DocNext network?
Oh no, since we have more departments, let's say, as I mentioned, we also have a grant scheme, so international collaboration projects could also include the setting up of an online platform. And as far as the Youth and Media program indeed is concerned, the core of the program is the DocNext network, but it's not as closed as it may seem. We really would like to link to many other existing networks and platforms. Whether there's money available to support all kinds of individual other projects we would like to link up to, that's another story. We are hoping actually to get some more funding ourselves next year. We need to apply for funds as well. So it's not to say we can't do it. It totally depends on the structure and the aim of this platform. So it's a bit difficult for me to answer the question, not knowing what the platform is about. But if you go to our website, hopefully you can find our contact address, and you can also always email me with a concrete question or suggestion.
Okay, great. Thank you. And it looks like I'm not seeing any more questions, so I'm going to go ahead and go into my closing slides. But I do want to reiterate that I will be sending out the presenters' email addresses, so if you have any questions after the fact, go ahead and email them those questions. And I'm sure they will be more than happy to answer them at that time. And so I do want to thank our webinar sponsor, Citrix Online. They do provide us with a GoToWebinar account, and so I do want to thank them. And if you want any more information about GoToWebinar, you can go to bit.ly/Citrix Online Program to find out more. And these are just the credits for some of the photos that I used in this presentation. I did use a Creative Commons licensed photo, so I do want to give them credit where credit is due. And so again, thank you very much for attending today. If you need to exit, you can go up to File, Exit, Leave Webinar. I do want to thank Vivian and Sue for their wonderful presentations today. It's been great.
No, thank you.
If you could, if everybody could.
Absolutely, thank you.
Oh, thank you. If when everybody leaves, if they could go ahead and fill out the survey that should pop up on their screen, that would be really helpful in providing and improving webinars in the future. And again, let me go back to the slide that has the information on the EFC webinars coming up. Again, that is Foundations and Practice in Data Visualization on November 16th, and Using Technology to Educate, Empower, and Engage on December 7th. And I also want to thank Becky and Christy for helping out on chat today. I know it was really early for you guys, so I really do appreciate it. So with that, I'm going to end the webinar. Thank you all very much for participating today.
Thank you, Kylie.